My crazy entitled aunt drives 500 miles in the middle of the night, demanding that I let her sleep in my house. But when I tell her to leave, she calls the cops and tries to claim that she owns my house and that they should kick me out. And I honestly could not be more stunned by someone else's stupidity. Here's what happened. So without getting too political, we recently had an election in the USA. My aunt supported one side, while her husband and her adult offspring supported the other side. And as you could probably guess, the election did not go the way my aunt wanted it to. My aunt proceeded to flip out completely. She was breaking things, yelling, and even went as far as setting her daughter's "I voted" sticker on fire. Her husband called the cops, and the cops declined to arrest her for anything, but suggested that she find a different place to stay for the night. This happened yesterday in New Jersey. Fast forward to 2 a.m. today, and here I am sleeping peacefully in my home with my family, over 500 miles away from all of that drama. My fence alarm goes off, waking me up. I don't know if it's a bear or a trespasser, so I get my pants on, and I grab a tool used for my safety, if you know what I mean, just to be safe. It turns out my aunt had cut the lock of my front gate because she couldn't get in, and I wasn't answering my phone, even though it was 2 in the morning. I mean, why did she have bolt cutters in her car in the first place? So I put my tools away and I ask her what on earth is going on, and at this point she starts freaking out and crying and screaming. Mind you, this is at 2 in the morning in a very private, quiet community. She talks about how the devil took her family and they just threw her out, and she says that since she has nowhere else to go, I apparently need to let her in so that she can stay in my guest room for a while. So honestly, who knows how long that will be. I told her that a friend of mine was using that room right now, so it was completely occupied. This person came from Texas all the way to West Virginia just to hang out with me, and I'm not gonna toss them out with 30 seconds of notice, all because my crazy aunt decided to show up at 2 in the morning. So at this point, after I said this, she decides to call the police and tell them that I'm keeping her from entering her home. When it comes to my house, we're in the woods, so the cops don't come here very quickly. So after 2 hours of waiting, at 4:41 in the morning, the cops show up in my house. I see them talking to her in my driveway, and she shows them the bolt cutters and the ruined lock. A few minutes later, the officer knocks on my door. They look at me and try to claim that this is actually my tenant, but I had to cut them off immediately, and I tell them that I do not have a tenant at this house. I say I own and occupy this structure, and I offer to show him the deed, but he still would not listen, as he tried to parrot all the claims that my aunt was making about her living here. So I cut him off again, and I say, "What's the address on her ID? What does it say? Tell me." And at this point, the cop is getting upset with me, and I can tell. So I try to de-escalate the situation. I say, "Look, man, she doesn't live here. She has never lived here. That is my aunt. She lives in New Jersey. Please, just check her ID card." Eventually, the cop calms down and lets me know that he will talk to her and then come back. 10 minutes later, the cop comes back to the door. This time, there's 3 of them in total, not just the one from earlier. One of them had stripes and a rocker on his arm, so I could tell he was important. He asked me if there's any way my aunt can stay here for the night, because apparently she's way too under the influence to drive right now, so he can't let her back on the road, which absolutely baffles me. This woman drove from New Jersey to West Virginia, all while she was under the influence. I told them again that she cannot stay here, but that I'm sure there's room in the local jail. The cop then asked me if she can just sleep in her car in my driveway and leave in the morning when she wakes up, and I was so appalled. I told them absolutely not. I explained that when she wakes up in the morning, I would just have to call them to get her off of my property, so that would solve nothing. So I then asked them formally, remove her from my property. As a long story short, her car got towed, and she is in the drunk tank with no charges pending for the night. So I pretty much kiss my sleep goodbye, and hopefully she never comes back. What an absolute nut job. Talk about overreacting from an election. I mean, it's one thing to be very loyal to whatever party this lady subscribes to, but it's another thing to start lighting things on fire and demanding entrance into somebody else's home. These cops also kind of sucked. The fact that she wasn't arrested not only for breaking into someone else's property, but also literally for lying to the police is beyond me. But at least this lady got off this guy's property, and hopefully she never comes back ever again. My boyfriend doesn't want me working out at the gym with him, and I honestly don't know what to do. Usually, I hear stories of boyfriends wanting their girlfriends to work out at the gym with them, but my boyfriend is the complete opposite. At first, I thought maybe there's something or someone that he's hiding at the gym that he just might not want me to see, but he's brought me to the gym twice, and he had to show me how to properly do my workout formations and teach me my workouts. It was during his routine though, so it did slow him down on his own workout. He wants me to work out in general because he believes everyone should be healthy. It has nothing to do with my weight. I'm 5 foot tall, and I mainly store my fat in my thighs and my butt. So I have curves, but I'm still very skinny. Whenever I have my days where I feel fat, he tells me that I'm not, so he doesn't want me to work work out to chase my weight, and he doesn't actively tell me to work out, just whenever I bring it up, that I may want him to motivate me to say that I should, and that I could only do like a 3-day workout routine. We agreed that my first week, he would show me each days the routines and formations for the workout. Then he said I can go alone and record myself to show him later. I thought he mainly didn't want to work out at the same time with me, because so far it's been slowing him down, because I don't know what I'm doing with the machines and the weights and whatnot. So when I'm there, we are typically in the gym a lot longer. But today, he said something that really was troubling to me. He said, even if you know your stuff, I still don't want to be talking to you during my workout, or having to worry about your machine or your time, just so we can leave together. I'm fine if we're there at the same time. I just don't want to work out together, especially since we're doing drastically different routines. We can talk more about it in person. I can take you anytime you want though, so just let me know and we can start. He usually listens to music at the gym, and did tell me that he didn't like sharing the earbud with me, or having to stop the music to explain something to me because it stops his workout flow. But my issue is, being a girl in the gym already makes me feel uncomfortable, especially if I'm gonna be working out all by myself with a bunch of gym bros. I always feel like people would be staring at me, especially when at first I will have barely any weights on, and I'm not gonna be great with my formations. I like going with my boyfriend and having someone with me when I'm at the gym, at least right now. It takes me a while to get used to things, but once I have a hold on them, I'm pretty independent, and I won't need much help at all. I don't really know what to do from here because I feel like I won't be able to get myself to go without him starting out, but I also don't want to impede on his exercise, especially since he's already in the gym for 2 hours. It also seems like a waste having us both drive there when we could go in the same car, and I'd probably be the one waiting for him most of the time once I get my routine down. What should I do? I have to be honest, I really do see where your boyfriend is coming from. He has set up a very clear boundary that, hey, this is my hobby and my practice, and I want to just be able to do my thing without being bothered. And I really don't think he's being rude when he says that. I think he's just saying how he feels, and it seems like you want to change that just so you can be more convenienced, instead of just respecting his boundaries. For him, working out is not couples time. It's not a couples activity. It's clear that he wants to work out without any kind of distraction, and he doesn't want to be held accountable for you or anybody else, especially with how you're coming and going to the gym. Like honestly, that does need to come from you. So it's perfectly normal and healthy for him to say, no, let's do this separately. And I don't think that means he doesn't love you either. So if I was in your shoes, I would definitely be respecting this guy's boundaries. He knows what he wants, and unfortunately, it's just not what you want. And I think for the sake of his own happiness at the gym, as well as your own development of being independent at the gym, in my opinion, it would be best to leave him alone to let him do his own thing. But what do you think? What would you do if you were in this situation? Do you think the girlfriend's right in this one where you want to try and do this as a couple? Or do you side with a boyfriend where you want the workouts to be separate? Leave a comment down below. My boyfriend lied to me for 3 years about a girl he met on Discord, and he just confessed to me that they did have a thing together, and I honestly don't know what to do. My boyfriend had a friend from a different country. They met while gaming and had a little friend group on Discord. Well, I always got a weird vibe from her. He always reassured me that there was never anything between them, and that she's just a friend, even when I found out that her Discord name on her server was Daddy, and that she sometimes called him that, even when I wanted to look up something on his phone and saw that her chat was muted, and he said he wanted to hide it from me because I didn't like her. He always reassured me that she was just a friend. Well, a few days ago, we talked about her, and I got that weird feeling in the pit of my stomach again, so I asked him if he ever had a thing with her, and when I said that, he didn't answer, and then like 4 hours later, after a huge talk, he finally confessed. Yes, they had a thing together. They would send each other very suggestive images, and this was over the course of a few months. It happened before we were together, but ever since we got together, I asked him the same question, and he always said that no, we never had a thing, she is just a friend. And I feel so unbelievably insecure about this, because she looks like all the girls that he would like, and he lied to me for 3 years, which stretches out the entirety of our relationship, and he used to be good friends with her. They were texting all the time and talking on the phone as well. How should I believe him when he says to me that nothing ever happened while we were together? I'm honestly devastated. I feel like our whole relationship was a lie. I genuinely don't know why he didn't just tell me. If he had just been honest, this would have never been an issue. I really need some advice on how to move forward now, because I'm honestly not sure what to do. This is a really sketchy situation, because you said it best. This definitely changes things, and it's so hurtful. For 3 years he lied about this girl, stating, oh no, there was never a thing together, but in fact they were sending pictures to each other, and not normal pictures, if you know what I mean. That's really terrible, and I think you have it right, and I feel the same way. If they had just said something in the beginning of the relationship, you could probably say, okay, well let's just not talk to this girl. But the fact that he hid it from you, and the fact that they might still be talking in some way, is what would really set me off, to be completely honest. Lying is honestly enough for me to say this is not a good relationship, and he lied for 3 years. That covers literally every anniversary, every Valentine's Day, every birthday that you guys have had and celebrated together, he has lied about this girl that he's had definitely some kind of relationship with. And that's really not okay. So I think you really need to take a good hard look at this relationship, because based on what your boyfriend did, I just don't see this as a healthy one. And it honestly might be time to reevaluate some things. My boyfriend is always constantly gaming, and it's honestly starting to become way too much for me, and I don't know what to do. I met my boyfriend by the name of John a couple of years ago, and told him soon into dating that one of my deal breakers is excessive gaming. My previous boyfriend had a gaming addiction, and I found out through that experience that I'm just not compatible with men who are into competitive gaming. A video game here and there I don't mind, but a daily hobby that takes priority over basic things like cooking, cleaning, stuff like that, I'm honestly not a fan of. And he agreed and claimed that he's not that big of a gamer. Fast forward 2 years and things were fantastic. He's always attentive and we enjoyed the same things. He would come over to my apartment and I would go over to his once or twice a week, and we would have dinner and watch our shows and just hang out. Then on weekends we would go out and do some things outdoors, or even do some traveling. We moved in together last month and suddenly he's turned into a gamer. Like I mentioned, I don't mind gaming. It's excessive gaming though that I really do mind. It doesn't matter to me how he utilizes his time after work to decompress, but I started to notice patterns that I wasn't crazy about. And he says that he has been picking up gaming more and more recently and he really enjoys it. Since we moved in, he will start work at 9 in the morning. We both work from home and he will work with some gaming sprinkled in between. He won't eat anything until about 3 p.m. and once he finishes work by 6, he goes on to the game non-stop until 9 or 10, at which point he'll realize he hasn't eaten dinner and he ends up ordering Uber Eats. That's if I don't order or make something for the both of us by like 7 o'clock, in which case he'll just eat that, which will be later at about 10 o'clock. So I've just been taking care of dinner by myself for the both of us since we've moved in, and the only times we've eaten dinner together is when I've pulled him away from the TV screen to do so. This has resulted in a lot of arguments because I feel like he's bordering on addiction. I've also done all the cleaning since we've moved in. I've done our laundry and I've had to rally us both together just to take the trash out or to go grocery shopping, because if I don't do it, then no one will. And I want to preface this that I'm not a neat freak by any means. I just do things when it's time to do them, and I honestly don't want to wait any longer. He claims that he will do whatever chore I ask of him, and that we just don't have the same routine, but I feel like giving him instructions is a job in and of itself. Like, we both live here. It's not my job to keep an eye out for things that need to be done. Syncing up on one routine is one thing, but if the trash is overflowing, or if there are no dishes left, or any groceries in the fridge, and you're sitting there just playing video games, it doesn't really feel like it's about a routine. It feels like you're just becoming addicted to a video game, and you're neglecting common household duties, and you're waiting for the other person you live with to get fed up and do it themselves, which is what I have been doing every week since moving in. He claims he is not addicted, and that he's just gaming casually, and that I'm expecting him to do things that he's not aware need doing. So he will say stuff like, how am I supposed to know that there's no dishes left if I didn't even walk into the kitchen today? I've told one of my friends all about this, and they say I have not properly communicated my expectations to him, and that I would be getting ahead of myself to break up with him without properly communicating how I feel. I have told him many times over the past month how his excessive gaming is the deal breaker. I talked to him about it at the start of our relationship, but my friend said I need to express my expectations with concrete actions, such as letting him know, for example, that I would like us to have dinner at 6 o'clock p.m. every day together, and that he can cook Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can take the other days. But to me, this seems futile, and my previous experience tells me nothing will come of it. My friend even suggested that we assign each other chores, but that just makes me feel like his mother, and that is honestly not me. So I'm kind of at a loss, and I honestly don't know what to do. I think you're right in a lot of ways. I think you absolutely should not have to instruct your boyfriend on how and what to do with the house. He is clearly not doing what he needs to do, and he is neglecting household responsibilities just to play his video games. And he's neglecting you. I don't think it's unreasonable for him to stop playing the video game and have dinner together, or even to be more attentive to the house. I mean, you do both live there after all, but I don't think you should let your previous experience with your ex dictate how this could go. I think that's just an unhealthy way of looking at things, and I think you really should try those examples that your friend gave you. I've tried to bring your boyfriend back to being your boyfriend. Assigning chores as well as assigning when he needs to cook could be a really good way of putting him back on course and avoiding this deal breaker in your lives, because it sounds like you really do love your boyfriend, and you've obviously spent a lot of years together, and it really would be a shame for this to cause some kind of rift or for you two to break up all over him playing video games. My girlfriend keeps fighting with me every time I try to explain anything about how I feel, and it's really starting to wear me down, and I honestly don't know what to do. I'm a 24-year-old male, and I've been dating my girlfriend who's 20 for about 4 months. She is my first ever girlfriend, and I've had no previous experience on what it's like to be in a relationship before. Before I start, I want to give some background. I have a tendency to overthink and overreact to stuff. She has had bad experiences experiences with exes before, which have left her completely traumatized. I have also accused her of stuff before, but I have admitted it and I have apologized for it, and I'm working on not doing that anymore. However, by accusing her before, it has left her more sensitive now when it comes to arguments. My current problem is this: we've been fighting very often recently. Like every week there's a fight that happens, and it's getting exhausting for the both of us. For my part, it's also getting exhausting because whenever I talk or express my opinion, I always get called out, and I'm told I'm accusing her and that I'm manipulating her, or that I'm just attacking her or being selfish and not taking her feelings into consideration. The thing is, I'm not trying to do that. I know before I have accused her of stuff because I overreacted, and I do recognize those times when it did happen. I also apologize when it went down, but in these cases, I'm just expressing how I feel about something, and I keep getting accused of attacking or manipulating. For the record, I never manipulated her. There have been times where I'm being called selfish without even saying anything. An example of this is when I would stay till late at night at her house, and when I told her that I'm gonna go because I have work early in the morning, she begs me to stay with her until she falls asleep. When I tell her that I can't do that, I get called selfish and an argument erupts. This happens quite frequently. Another example is when she needs me to come over because she is dealing with something, and I tell her that I can't because I'm really busy with something. I will again get called selfish and a fight will happen. A final example is when she says she wants to discuss a problem, and I tell her that I don't feel comfortable talking about it. She will then get upset and tells me that I'm not taking her feelings into consideration. It has gotten to the point where I don't feel comfortable expressing how I feel to her because I feel like it's going to turn into an argument, and I'm just going to get called out for it again. I understand that I've accused her before, and she is defensive about it, and I've been trying hard not to do that again, especially by trying to think logically if overthinking does pop up in my head, as well as just trying to be as calm as possible and as gentle as possible. And I do this on purpose when I'm explaining how I feel, but I still get accused of this stuff. I do love her a lot, and I want to fix these problems, but I'm getting frustrated with the fact that this keeps repeating, and I honestly don't know what to do. Sounds like your girlfriend is projecting her problems onto you. If anything, she's being incredibly selfish. And to top it all off, it sounds like she's holding a grudge against you for some kind of mistake or argument that happened in the past, which is really, really toxic in my opinion. And that's not fair for you at all. You apologize, you've tried to make things right, but she's still holding it over your head. And that's not okay. It would be different if this happened all the time, and you've constantly blamed her for stuff or something along those lines. But it sounds like this was a one and done situation, but she simply can't seem to let it go. And the examples that you've given, I honestly don't see how you're being selfish. It seems like you're just giving very basic boundaries, and you're trying to express how you feel. So based on what you've described, in my opinion, the problem really is with her. She's being irrational, and she is the one being selfish, not you. So hopefully you can find some kind of solution to this. Maybe couples counseling or something like that. Some kind of mediator to help you feel like you're both being heard. Because the way she's acting is completely unfair to you, and you really should be treated so much better than that in this relationship. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And the next time you live stream, use the Cream of the Crop music. Search Cream of the Stream on Spotify or whatever platform you use for copyright-free music to use for your next stream.